Good to see you. Thanks for spending some time with us.
Thank you.
When did you find out yesterday about the mayor not continuing in the race?
Literally when he made the announcement.
You weren't, were you surprised?
I wasn't surprised. It had been talked about for several weeks, right? And there were reports on conversations that he was having with various people. So I wasn't totally surprised. I didn't know where and when, so that was surprising, but not in general.
You had laid out some of the political logic behind him leaving the race, I think about a month ago. The dynamics didn't really change in the succeeding few weeks, right?
No, but I do believe the ultimate calculus was what the mayor said it was. I believe it was sincere, that he believes Mamdani is an existential threat, and he wants to do everything he can to help stop Mamdani, and therefore he put his ambition aside for that purpose. I believe he is sincere in that, and I believe that is true. Both the mayor and myself are Democrats, and we do see Mamdani as an existential threat, not representative of the Democratic Party, hostile to the Democratic Party, a person who is dangerously inexperienced and could hurt this city.
When you say that, when you say existential threat and dangerous and so forth, are you saying at one and the same time that the record number of Democrats who came out to vote for him made a mistake?
No, I'm saying that first you get one turnout in the Democratic primary, right? It's a smaller turnout, and in this election you had an unusually large number of 20 to 30-year-olds vote, socialist members who he had spent time cultivating social media, to his credit, etc. I don't believe they are representative of New Yorkers writ large. I don't believe New Yorkers writ large will support Mamdani's positions when they understand what they are. They're not in favor of legalizing prostitution. They're not in favor of legalizing the drug trade. They're not in favor of abolishing jails. They're not anti-NYPD. They don't believe the NYPD is wicked and corrupt, as he says they are, and racist. Majority-minority police force, he calls them racist. That's not where New Yorkers are. They're not anti-business. They understand that we need business to run this city. And keeping the business community strong is how you generate jobs and generate revenue, et cetera. So none of that came out in the primary era.
Is there a scenario where the system has a self-correcting feature, meaning in order to win votes, you change your positions, he changes his position, everybody changes their positions to try and get to wherever the voters might be, right? Doesn't that sort of change the equation a little bit?
Well, I think there are races where you will see a person shift subtly from a primary, which tends to be more on an extreme, to a general election. But I don't think you see Mamdani shifting. I don't think his people will allow him to shift. And that ideology, that dogma is very strong. You know, he will not back off sympathizing with terrorists. I mean, he hasn't. He hasn't backed off on globalize the intifada, right? On the harshness with the NYPD, on abolishing jail. He hasn't backed off on any of it because I believe that is the base that he represents. And if you show any reasonableness, I think that Democratic Socialist group is offended. I mean, we saw AOC, who tried to moderate herself a little bit on the issue of Israel, and the backlash that she took.
Well, yeah, she got backlash. She didn't get their endorsement, and she went and got herself reelected, right?
Yes, but for him, their support, I think, is key.
Okay. I interviewed some of the leadership of the New York City DSA. I think they said they were very proud of this. They had just grown, due to Mamdani's success, to 11,000 members, which strikes me as a drop in the bucket compared to the number of volunteers on his campaign, and number two, the number of voters who were going to turn out in November.
Yeah, well, the members of the party, I think, are one thing, right? But there was and there is a whole youth movement all across this country, which is basically an anti-Trump generated no king movement, socialism movement, pro-Gaza movement, a lot of energy, Errol, in that issue, no doubt about that. So it's not just the members of the party, it was really the ideology. And again, he was very good on social media and communicated that to that group.
Mm-hmm. When I look at some of the numbers that are powering the anxiety that many voters feel, and we've been talking to them all around the city, you have a median household income in New York right now around $79,000. You have a median average rent. The median rent is something like $3,400. People have to give up more than half their gross income, on average, and that's the pain that a lot of voters are saying they're feeling, and they're desperate to get something done about affordability. What do you say to those people?
They're exactly right. What's interesting is that affordability issue is pressing in New York City, probably worse than the rest of the nation, but it is a nationwide phenomenon. And when you look back, wages have not kept pace with the cost of living. They just haven't. The minimum wage in this country, it hasn't gone up since 2009, Errol. So yes, there's a gap, there's an affordability crisis, worse in big cities, worse in New York. Interestingly, that's the nerve that Donald Trump touched to become president of the United States. It's the same nerve that Mamdani touches, that economic anxiety and anger. Yes, that's a problem. Yes, he's right, it's a problem. But his solution doesn't work. Freeze the rent, which is on 25% of the housing units in New York City, which are the rent-stabilized units, and does nothing for 75%. That doesn't work. That's de Blasio redux. De Blasio did that 3 times, by the way.
Sure, and the rents kept going up.
Yes, and it didn't work, So the answer is wrong. I'm saying the answer is you need to build more affordable housing. You have to increase the supply. You have 1% vacancy rate.
I saw in your plan you're calling for a city and state joint fund of about $5 billion to help spur development. Have you talked about that with Governor Hochul? Is that something you think she would support?
Oh, I think it's something that the legislature would be very interested in, and the governor also. But look, we are going to have an all-out effort like we haven't had in decades. This has got to be the mayor's top priority. It has to be run from the mayor's office. You have to get creative, find every vacant site in the city, find where there are air rights, partner with not-for-profits and churches, but we need to dramatically increase the supply of housing in a very short period of time. Go to the NYCHA units and put together not just reconstruction of the NYCHA, but also new construction, and make it a top priority, the way we did with LaGuardia Airport, the way we did with 2nd Avenue subway, right? All hands on deck, focus, get it done.
When it comes to housing, though, and I think you saw this shortly after you left as governor, Kathy Hochul tried to spur some housing development, and it foundered on a million different localities all saying, we're not changing our zoning, we're not going along with this, we'll take you to court. And I'm sure you've seen that happens all over the city, even in the middle of this housing emergency. I've been talking with council members, and whatever project it is, it seems, it's just never quite perfect enough. And they're going to protest, they're going to sue, they're going to hold it up, they're going to try and vote against it.
Yeah, you are so right. That's why I think this charter provision is very interesting. There is no project that I did as governor where there wasn't opposition. LaGuardia Airport, worst in the United States of America. I announced I'm going to tear it down, build a new airport. People are opposed, saying it should be preserved for its historic relevance. It's New Yorkers. You propose something, someone is going to oppose it. And for a council person, if there's any opposition, the easy answer is no. No. Why should they sustain? Because there's no positive, because there's no one in that building yet. So it's only a negative. And it's hard for the political process to do something where there is opposition. And that's why I think you can't allow one council person a veto on a project.
So you're supporting passage of these charter?
Yeah, otherwise you'll get nothing done. Errol, you will get nothing done. If I only did projects that every assemblyman and senator signed off on, I would have done nothing.
Did it surprise you the way the casino votes went down? I mean, it reflects that very dynamic.
It is exactly that dynamic. Now, when I did the casino vote, I didn't have that local community board provision for a couple of reasons. One, I think it raises a lot of questions about political giving attached to approvals, especially on that local level. But two, yes, there was going to be opposition. And you actually put the local elected official in a very difficult position. Yes, everybody wants input. But sometimes, let the cup pass from my lips, right?
What would be your projection or wish as far as what Eric Adams does now? His former chief of staff, Frank Carone, told me yesterday he intends to support you. He wants to try and raise money for an outside group to support your candidacy. Have you talked with the mayor since yesterday?
I have not. I look forward to talking to him, but I have not. Obviously, his support would be great. Everyone's support, right? Democrats, Republicans, Independents. But more on a personal level, I just hope he's at peace with his decision. Mm-hmm. And my guess is he has to sit with it for a while.
When he, a few weeks ago, called you a liar and a snake, which are pretty harsh words even for New York politics, it sounded like he was referring to a pledge or a statement you'd made a number of months ago saying that you would not run against him. Is that what that was about?
I tell you, I don't know what he was referring to at that time. I think it was a difficult period for him, but I really don't know what he was referring to, and I haven't spoken.
Well, what did change? Because again, you'd said a while ago, no, I'm not going to run against Eric Adams if he's seeking re-election, and then somewhere along the line you declared your candidacy.
Well, we got to a point where post-primary, I believe it was clear that Eric was not going to be viable against Mamdani. Mm-hmm. And that is actually what wound up coming to the forefront that the mayor himself recognized.
Why wasn't he viable, do you think?
I think that New Yorkers had come to a conclusion. I understand the situation that he went through with the indictments, etc. I think the arrangement he made with Donald Trump hurt him. I understand why he did it, but I think it hurt him very badly. And I don't think New Yorkers were going to recover from that.
When the president said publicly that if Mamdani becomes mayor, he basically will punish New York, that he will deprive the city of funds and so forth. We've gotten used to a lot of reckless statements from the White House, but that seems especially problematic.
Errol, people say President Trump is tough to figure out. He's not that tough to figure out. He tells you exactly what he's going to do. They want Mamdani to win. Two reasons. One, it would be great Republican politics. They could run all over the country, all over the state. These Democrats have lost their mind. They elected a socialist, communist, 33, has no experience, hates the cops, hates business. It would be a political bonanza. Number two, it would be a total justification for President Trump to come in here and say, I have to protect New Yorkers against this 33-year-old who has no idea what he's doing. It would be President Trump and Mayor Trump. and he would love to take over New York City, just the way he took over Penn Station, right? Just a few weeks ago. I think that's exactly what he would love to do, and that's the invitation, right? Now, he can do it without invitation. He did L.A. and Washington and Portland, etc. But it would be his best justification.
But now, doesn't that put you in an odd position? Because some of his rhetoric sounds like some of your rhetoric, saying Mamdani is extremist, he's an existential threat, and so forth and so on. You are suggesting this maybe as a reason that people should vote against him, right? I mean, it sounds very much like what we're hearing from the
I don't think he should be elected. The president's point is that's why he would be usurping him, right? But these are the president's own words. He said, if he is elected, I will have to step in.
When you think about both in the first term and currently what the Trump White House is doing, do you see any positives for New York?
No. No.
None at all?
Look, the first term, I think they hurt New York very badly with their tax program where they eliminated the deductibility of state and local taxes. They immediately promised that they would reform it, redo it. Everyone pledged. Second term, they undid part of it, but didn't even unravel the entire thing. So no, I have not seen any what I would call positive.
So it sounds like regardless of who wins, whether it's you, Mamdani, or frankly even Curtis Sliwa, they should be prepared to maybe fight it out with the White House.
Oh, you're going to have to fight it out with the White House. Look, you're going to have to fight just this budget is highly problematic. These Medicaid cuts, the requirements on Medicaid, these are very, very difficult for New York to swallow. The cuts to housing are devastating. I was HUD secretary under Bill Clinton, Housing Urban Development. The cuts to HUD, which is basically all housing subsidies, community development subsidies, they are devastating. So it's a fight anyway. The only question is the extent of the fight. And I think the fight would get heightened because Trump would come into New York the way he has with other cities. Term one, he sent the National Guard into 20 cities. This is not a new phenomenon for the president, but he never sent them into New York. 20 cities, but not New York. Why? Because he knew that was going to be a different level of fight, right? But yeah, no, it's a fight.
When the members of Congress say that they're going to, I'm talking about Democratic members, say that they're going to sort of get it together, take back the House, take the country in a new direction, what's your sense of how that will work for New York? Is that likely to happen? Is that something you want to be involved in?
I would help any way I could. I hope. But I think, frankly, it's the way this is unfolding, it's more going to take the president to hurt himself. You know, I don't see the Democrats with a strategy where they're going to win absent the president turning over the ball, so to speak, right? I think he is going to have to make a mistake. The tariffs are going to have to backfire. He'll have to make a foreign policy mistake. I don't see the Democratic strategy that is rolling towards success right now. I'm sorry to say.
And then what do you make of ICE, the different raids, their presence at 26 Federal Plaza, something that's, you know, a couple of blocks from City Hall, something that the next mayor is going to have to really try and figure out what to do. We've seen Eric Adams do whatever he's done. I think there's some quiet legal action, but nothing said publicly. How would you handle that?
Well, first, I would be very aggressive legally. I would challenge them on the law. When I was governor, I passed something called the Liberty Defense Fund that basically provided an attorney for someone who, an undocumented person who was approached by the federal government. I would do all of that. that's not going to be enough. Sue Donald Trump. He gets sued 50 times before he gets out of bed. Doesn't really get his attention. I think this is political theater for the president. This is his point. Democrats don't know how to run a city. This is democratic chaos. Democrats let all these migrants in. Democrats have homeless people all over the streets. They have all these blue tents. There's crime, there's shooting, there's drugs. These Democrats are a mess. I have to send in federal troops because these Democrats, they just can't do it. That's what he's saying over and over and over again. And he picks cities that are demonstrative of that point, and he thinks it is resonating politically. But that's the same point he's making. I have to correct for these Democrats. That's what he's saying about New York also.
Does he have a point when he says that about New York?
Does he have a point that, yes. Have you seen urban areas decay, especially post-COVID? Yes, you have. Have you seen people move out of cities? Remote work, Zoom work, reduction in resources, increase in homelessness? Yes, you have. You go through Los Angeles, go through San Francisco, you see evidence, and that's what he's responding to, right? It's always a political calculus, and that's what he's looking at. That's why I'm trying to put forth an agenda that makes it clear that we have an affirmative agenda to move forward. It's about jobs and growing the economy, keeping businesses, growing businesses, getting businesses back, more police, because crime is a problem. I want to add 5,000 police, go back to the David Dinkins, safe streets, safe cities. And 5,000 police, 1,500 in the subways, and the affordability issue, build, baby, build. Build housing, create jobs, create apprentice programs. Let people see signs of success. I love the physical manifestations of progress. Because not only do they enhance their purpose, but it's inspiring. You go through LaGuardia Airport now, you say, wow,
Yeah.
I didn't know New York could do this.
A visual marker of prosperity, absolutely.
Yes.
A final question. You now have the scenario that a few weeks ago you said you wanted, where one of the major candidates has dropped out. He has dropped out. Curtis Sliwa, while he got 28% of the vote when he ran 4 years ago, seems to be polling considerably lower, has gotten some political setbacks of his own. What's next for you? Is this going to work for you?
First, the question is what works for New Yorkers. I want people to understand what the issues are. What he is proposing, what I'm proposing. What his experience is, what my experience is. His qualifications, my qualifications. And let them make an informed decision. This is not a choice that should be made on TikTok, right? This is not about a tweet. We're talking about mayor of New York City. Any given day, any morning, anything can happen in this city. There could be a mass shooting, God forbid. The mayor, lives literally depend on the mayor. And Errol, I've sat in that seat, and I know the kinds of challenges that you face. And I've had a lifetime of experience. This is not a decision to be made lightly. The proposals that Mamdani puts forward will accomplish nothing, or they will be a negative. Government-run grocery stores is frankly a dumb idea. They tried it in Kansas City, it didn't work. Free buses for rich people and poor people? Why should I pay your bus fare? $700 million cost to the MTA, more than we just raised from congestion pricing. Affordable housing, freeze the rent on 25% like de Blasio, and it failed? No.
So
that's the conversation we have to have.
I mean, that's a message for voters, and you just shared it with my viewers. But what about the union presidents, the Democratic county leaders, the people who have a lot of experience, have been around the block, and presumably understand what's at stake? Do they need to hear this from you, or have they just made a different calculation?
Well, they've made a couple of calculations, right? Because they were with me, right, during the primary, and then he won the Democratic nomination. They shift to him. They had the choice one-on-one, right? Clean slate. Who do you like better, Cuomo, Mamdani? They said Cuomo. He wins the primary, then they say, I have to go with the Democratic nominee, which is the normal way. As a matter of fact, this is extraordinary what is happening here, that he has not consolidated Democratic support. Normally, it's all the Democrats support the Democratic nominee. I've never seen this, where you have Democrats who actually are not supporting the Democratic nominee. And that's because he's not a Democrat. That's because he is a socialist or a democratic socialist, to call it what you want, but he's not a Democrat. This is a man who called Barack Obama evil and a liar, who did not support Kamala Harris against Donald Trump, and started that Leave It Blank, or was part of that Leave It Blank, to hurt Kamala Harris against Trump. No, he's not a Democrat. And that's why you don't see what you normally would, which is the Democratic Party automatically migrating.
Okay. We will see you out on the campaign trail. Thanks for spending some time.
Thank
Good to
you.
see you.